That's the life of a person without a vision on this continent. To do much and yet achieve little. One cannot use the power of the elements without a vision. Whether in research or in life, those without them live like outsiders in their own world. Maybe in the eyes of the gods, vision wielders are the main characters of this world. Visions are essential to our experience in Teyvat, and as Edith so casually points out, vision holders are the main characters. As such, each of our playable characters has a vision, each with a unique backstory to it. So I want to do a lightning round of every character's vision story. Amber grew up following her grandfather. He founded the Outriders of the Knights, but disappeared from Mondstadt without any explanation, leaving Amber thinking that if she followed in his footsteps, she would understand. When she read the fable that she accidentally gives us in her story quest, she realized that she had to be courageous and forge her own path. And her vision appeared. There must be something only I can do. There must be. Barbara had just joined the church and had never sung a day in her life. But there was a sick young boy sobbing in her care, and someone suggested that she sing to soothe him. She took the boy into her arms and sung the only song she knew, until she realized she didn't even know the words and hummed instead. She hummed for hours. She went hoarse and still kept on. And when the boy finally fell asleep, she slumped against the wall and slept too. She awoke with the vision by her side. Never having sung before is no reason to abandon a child in their time of need.
It's no surprise. One day I'll understand everything, including visions.
It popped up, he gave it a single glance, and carried on with his day. Bedo's a fucking boss who chopped the head off a sea beast as mighty as a deity. She battled him fiercely for 4 days, her crew at her back, and when she made the final blow, a bolt of lightning struck the ocean in front of her, and her vision descended. Its fins formed the ocean deep, its tail the mountains high, and Rex Lapis isn't the only one who could smite monsters. Benny Boy earned his vision by being the sweetest, most bestest boy to grace the land. He once went through a perilous journey, sustaining life-threatening injuries, but his passion for adventure kept his adrenaline high and he pushed through. He reached the end of the hellish journey, only to find nothing. Returning empty-handed is part of an adventure. I don't mind. But for all his strength of will, the disappointment rushed through him, and the pain of his injuries hit. He passed out, perhaps he should have died, but he awoke with his wounds cauterized and a vision pulsing in his hand. Chongying has always struggled with his excess yang energy, and is challenged as being a fraud exorcist because he just sits in a place until the spirits run away, but he refuses to put up some dramatic charade to please people. Against all his opposition, he remains resolved, but it's unclear what trait earned his vision and why he's cryo instead of pyro. I'm going to become the greatest exorcist in Liyue, control my yang energy, and rid the world of evil spirits. Diluc held his vision for himself and for the sake of his father, who had always wished for one. When his father died, Diluc's homes, dreams, and childhood optimism died with him, and he threw off both his vision and his position in the Knights as useless for helping him protect what's important. When he returned to Mondstadt after 3 years away, he reclaimed his vision and began to fight for Mondstadt in the night. To the lost, perhaps a vision is a beacon of light given by the gods to help them find a way forward. But for those with conviction, a vision is simply an extension of their strength. Diona loves her father, and she hates his alcoholism for turning him into someone she doesn't admire. Once, he was stranded in a terrible storm, and after 3 days, she couldn't bear the fear of loss anymore. She burst out the door, and the waters in her path froze, allowing her to rescue her father. I don't like to share him with wine. I refuse to have him stolen from me. Eula has always struggled with her ancestry. Her family borderline abused her Todoroki style, and everyone else shunned her for corrupt blood. She didn't know what values to hold or how to behave. Then Amber's grandfather took her under his wing and taught her that she needed to define herself. She couldn't tackle who she was to everyone else until she knew herself, and when she finally found her own gentle path of revenge, her vision appeared before her. Then call it grievance and name it vengeance. That will not change its essential strength and goodness. Fischl's story has a giant hole in the center. Amy always lived in her own world, making her an outcast among her peers. Her parents supported her until she turned 14 and her father told her that it was time to grow up. She ran to the library and sobbed there until midnight. when Oz appeared before her in an otherworldly flapping of wings. What transpires afterward is a different story, which brings her suffocating pain and soul-devouring loneliness. It also says that Oz and her vision appeared before her when her wish was acknowledged. But what was this painful story, and what was the wish that earned her a vision? I have but one identity. I am the Prinzessin. Qilin are illuminated beasts known for their benevolence. Ganyu aided Morax in the Archon Wars, and afterward, she chose to stay in Liyue and help the humans build their society while most Adepti retreated into realms. And the moment she chose to straddle the line between Adeptus and mortal, her vision appeared at her hip. Hu Tao wanted to see her grandfather one last time. After performing his burial, she traveled to Wuwang Hill and stubbornly waited at the border for him to arrive. After days, an old woman said to her, "Look at your stubbornness. You're exactly like old Hu." It's a shame, but none of the Wangsheng funeral parlor directors would ever linger here. Hu Tao realized that her grandfather had no regrets in life, so there was no reason for him to linger at the border. She went home, and after unpacking her bag, found her vision inside it. Live in life, die in death. Follow your heart, do what you can. When Jean was promoted to acting Grand Master, she was faced with challenges from all sides. The Abyss Order's plots, the Fatui's diplomatic pressures, and traitors within the Knights loyal to the Fatui. But with her endless perseverance, she fended them all off, re-establishing the authority of the Knights. One day, she felt the world go quiet, and the breeze flowed through her hand, leaving her vision in its wake. For Mondstadt, as always. On the day Krapus died, Kaya, driven by guilt and grief, made the terrible judgment that it was the right time to tell Diluc the truth about his origins. Lost in his own grief, Diluc turned on him, and ice burst from the tip of Kaya's sword as he defended against Diluc's searing flames, facing his brother for the first time as his true self. Kuching, the lead skeptic of Liyue, hated her vision. She thought it was an insult from the gods, that all her accomplishments were attributed to her vision instead of her own hard work. After many attempts to destroy it, she realized that it had no divine will and was merely a part of herself. The source of power is far less important than the character of its user. Baby Klee, even babier than she is now, made a big bomb. It exploded her workshop, and a vision appeared in the rubble. This is my best present. Lisa was studying at Sumeru and realized you could only get anywhere with a vision. I suppose I shall need a vision then. Noelle has been trying for years to become a knight, and some years ago, after failing her 7th selection test, she was discouraged. For all her resolve, the disappointment pulled her into a deep exhaustion. Yet when Jean walked through the gates, Noelle rose to a precise knight salute. Despite her immediate embarrassment for saluting after failing the exam, Jean responded with her own salute, and Noelle's vision manifested. One day I will don that armor. I will be gentle, reliable, and everywhere at once. When vision holders die, their vision loses its elemental power and the gem just lays around. Ning found an empty shell and got all excited figuring that the rich would pay big money for the chance to maybe resonate with it. She fiddled with it while writing plans for an auction, smiling in anticipation of the riches to come, but the vision activated, rendering it unsellable. What's there to be happy about? Once broken, consider sold. Mona inherited her vision from her master as a teaching aid while learning hydromancy, and eventually it was imbued with her own awakening. I don't care about the gods' recognition, but this bauble does help me with my hydromancy. Chi-Chi didn't want to die. She lost her way picking herbs and stumbled into the realm of the Adepti. Adepti and a demon were in the midst of a battle and caught her in the crossfire. If only I could freeze time. How wonderful would that be, she thought, tears falling on the vision that appeared. The Adepti tried to save her by imbuing her with their energy. Though she lived, she couldn't control her new powers and went berserk, forcing Mountain Shaper to seal her in amber. Hundreds of years later, the seal broke. She awakened and stumbled through the hills until Baizhu took her in. An abyss mage kidnapped Razor and chained him up. His Lupical flung themselves at the mage to save him, and he had to watch as they fell at the mage's hands. A frenetic rage built in his chest until it burst in a crackle of lightning. He broke from his shackles and tore the mage apart. Friends hurt. Never again. I will protect them. Rosaria was kidnapped by treasure hoarders as a child. Once, when food was scarce, she tried to run away. They caught her and wanted to kill her as a traitor, but the leader suggested a fight to the death, and her vision manifested during the battle. Everyone expected the child to lose, and to this day, she wonders if the old man let her win, a twisted paternal care for a child he'd taken by force. Sucrose was running her upteenth experiment and poured a concoction into a cauldron. It exploded immediately, but when she investigated, her vision lay amidst the blackened dandelion seeds. There is no vision story. They don't even say the traits he got it for or his opinion on it. Of course, as an elemental being, Venti doesn't possess a vision, so he carries around a glass orb just for show. However, since he's too lazy to carry around a lyre, he magicked his glass orb to transform into one whenever he wants. Xiangling believes wholeheartedly that any ingredient can become food. No matter how many times people balk at an experimental recipe, she remains undeterred, and her vision is proof that the gods approve of her thinking. There's contradictory information about Zhao. In his official vision story, it says Zhao doesn't remember how he got his vision. He cares far more for his duty, and unimportant details like his vision just aren't worth remembering. Meanwhile, the dev discussion posted during Zhao's banner says that his original form was a one-legged mountain spirit, with an internal illumination as all elemental beings have, and that he chooses to carry a vision only because it is the convention among humans to have one, and he prefers a human form. Xingqiu's entire vision story is the philosophy of the relationship between a martial artist, their weapons, and their vision, without the slightest mention of how he got his. Xinyan wanted to bring rock and roll to Liyue, but they were resistant to the unfamiliar form of music. She decided to try using fire to move people, adding flames and explosion to her music. She burned her fingers, her instrument blew up, and she continued to practice every day. Eventually, her vision appeared, and she ran down the mountain to begin her first concert. I'm a flame that will light Liyue Harbor up. Yanfei wants everyone to live as they please without overstepping. She keeps people in line not to constrain them, but in the spirit of fairness, and those strong principles earned her a vision. It's only natural that I got one, because I'm so principled. It's a summary of the Liyue Archon quests. At least Venti gave us a fun fact. There are a couple takeaways that we can get without diving too far into speculation. First, regards the frame. Lisa has a Mondstadt vision even though she got it while in Sumeru, so your frame is determined by the region that you originate from, or perhaps the one you're loyal to, not where you are when you receive it. And then secondly, they are reusable in a sense. Mona and Ningguang throw a wrench into the common case of your vision coming into existence in response to a pivotal moment, because both were inherited. Moreover, Mona seems to have been able to use it in hydromancy before she resonated with it, and Kuching mentions that she was afraid of it getting into the wrong hands, so apparently non-vision holders can still do something with them while the holders are alive? It's strange. There's also a whole conversation about how visions are granted and all of the ins and outs of that, but I'm avoiding that because it is highly speculative and this was supposed to be a lightning round. So, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you had a good time and I will see you soon. As always, comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, and requests in the comics. I love to hear from you guys. Bye-bye.